Every Friday, like clockwork, 16-year-old Ava slipped out of the house at exactly 6:45 p.m. She was never late, never early. Her mother Dana first noticed it during the early fall. At first she assumed it was harmless. Maybe Ava was just meeting friends, maybe even a secret crush. After all, she was a teenager. But then came the rain. The second Friday in October brought a relentless downpour, the kind that soaks your clothes within seconds. Still, Ava left. Same time, same path, always alone. By the third Friday, Dana's worry turned to quiet panic. Ava wasn't a rebellious girl. She didn't lie. She never snuck out or slammed doors or played the dramatic role most parents braced for during the teen years. She was quiet. Too quiet sometimes. So why was she disappearing every Friday? One night, Dana waited by the window, pretending to scroll through her phone as she watched her daughter walk up the street in her raincoat. There was something strange in the way Ava moved, deliberate but heavy, like someone walking into a memory. The next week, Dana tried casually asking Ava where she was headed. "Oh, just out for a walk," Ava replied without missing a beat. Dana didn't push, but something inside her twisted. She wasn't prepared for what she'd find. If your child left the house the same time every week without explanation, would you trust them or follow them? On the fifth Friday, Dana followed. She stayed far behind, her car creeping down side roads with its headlights off. Ava didn't notice. Her hood was up, her eyes fixed forward. Dana's stomach clenched tighter with every step her daughter took. Then Ava turned, past the town's old bakery, down 2 blocks across the main road, and through the iron gates of Crestview Cemetery. Dana slammed her brakes, her breath catching in her throat. What was she doing there? She watched from a distance as Ava walked with purpose, not wandering, not lost, toward a specific part of the graveyard. She stopped at a plot beneath a sprawling oak tree. Even from her spot behind the fence, Dana could see it. Ava knelt down, pulled something from her coat, and placed it gently on the grave. Flowers. She stayed for nearly an hour, unmoving. Then, she stood, wiped her eyes, and left without looking back. Dana stayed frozen in her car. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel. There were no names in their family buried at Crestview. No relatives, no friends they'd lost recently. Nothing that should have pulled her daughter to that place, week after week. She waited until Ava was safely home before stepping out herself. Curiosity outweighed fear. As she walked through the cemetery, shoes sinking into the damp grass, Dana felt a knot forming in her chest. Something didn't feel right. The rows of gravestones loomed in the dark like silent witnesses, and when she reached the one beneath the oak, her heart nearly stopped. It wasn't just one grave. There were 3. 3 stones, side by side, worn by time, chipped at the edges. Dana leaned in, reading the first name aloud. Her voice cracked, because the last name was hers. Dana stood frozen under the oak tree, her breath fogging in the night air. The first gravestone read, Michael Monroe, 1982-2003. The second, Lila Monroe, 1984-2003. The third, smaller than the others, sent a chill straight through her. Oliver Monroe, 2003, Dana's. Blood turned cold. Monroe was her maiden name, and she had no memory of these people. Her fingers hovered over the carved letters, tracing them in disbelief. How could her daughter know about a part of Dana's life that she herself didn't even remember? But Ava wasn't born until 2007. Dana turned, stumbling back toward the car, 1,000 thoughts racing. That name, Michael, something about it, tugged at the edges of her memory like a whisper she couldn't quite hear. But it made no sense. Back at home, Ava was already in bed, her door closed, light off. Dana sat in the kitchen alone, pulling out old albums, letters, even high school yearbooks. anything that might help her make sense of what she'd seen. That night, the more she dug, the less she understood, until she found an envelope in the back of a drawer, unmarked, yellowed, taped shut. Inside was a photo of a man and woman, mid-20s, smiling wide, standing in front of a small white house. In the side, "Woman's arms was a baby," and Dana recognized the woman instantly. It was her. But she didn't remember the photo, or the baby, or the man. Heart pounding, she flipped the picture over. In messy ink were the words, Michael, Lila, and baby Oliver, May 2003, the names, from the cemetery. She stared at her own face, smiling, holding a baby she didn't know existed. Her hands trembled. She ran to the closet, pulled down the old metal lockbox she hadn't opened in years. Inside, legal documents, old bills, and something that made her breath catch. A court order. It was dated 2004, Dana Monroe. Name changed to Dana Whitmore. Custody rights terminated. Memory trauma sealed by medical recommendation. There was a doctor's report too. It mentioned a fire, a tragedy, and something even more haunting. Patient experienced severe dissociative amnesia following the loss of her spouse and child. Full memory recovery unlikely. Dana sank to the floor. She had a husband, a baby, a whole life. Before, a fire had taken them from her, and in its aftermath her mind had done the only thing it could to survive. It had erased them. All this time she thought Ava was her only child, but she had lost one before. And somehow, Ava had found out. What would you do if your child uncovered a part of your life you had no memory of, something your mind tried to bury forever? The next morning, Dana waited at the kitchen table when Ava came downstairs. "Morning," Ava said, softly pouring herself cereal like it was any other day. Dana cleared her throat. "You went to the cemetery again last night." Ava paused. She didn't look up. "I followed you," Dana added. There was a long silence. Then Ava said, "I didn't want to lie. I just didn't know how to tell you." Dana's eyes welled up. How did you know?" Ava sat across from her, finally meeting her eyes. "I found the photo last year, in your closet. I didn't recognize the baby, but I knew it wasn't me. Then I found the name Monroe in an old book you had. So I started searching. Online, archives, obituaries. I just wanted to understand." She looked down at her cereal, untouched. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to know who they were." Dana wiped her eyes. "They were my family," she whispered. "And mine too," Ava said quietly. "I just wanted them to know they weren't forgotten." The grief hit Dana in waves. All the years she hadn't known she was grieving, the ache that never made sense. The emptiness that even Ava's birth couldn't fully fill. Now she knew why. That night, mother and daughter went to the cemetery together. They sat under the oak tree hand in hand, and for the first time in 20 years, Dana let the memories come. Back, not in full, not in detail, but in flashes of warmth, of laughter, of the family she once had. She spoke their names aloud. Let them echo through the night. Michael, Lila, Oliver, and Ava whispered them back. She brought fresh flowers, sunflowers, Michael's favorite, though she didn't know how she knew that. Somewhere inside her memory was beginning to stir. She kneeled at the grave, tracing her fingers across her son's name. "Oliver," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." A breeze stirred the leaves above. It was silent, peaceful. But when she stood up, something strange caught her eye. Tucked behind the headstone, half buried in damp leaves, was a folded piece of paper. She hesitated. Then, with trembling hands, she opened it. The handwriting was tight and deliberate. "They shouldn't have kept you from the truth. Come alone, Saturday, midnight, where your memories stopped. No signature. Just those chilling words. Dana's heart pounded. Was this some kind of cruel joke, or did someone else know about her past? She rushed home, her mind racing. Who wrote the note? How did they know about her memory loss? She didn't want Ava involved. This was something she had to face alone. If you received a mysterious note promising answers to your forgotten past, would you go? Or walk away from a truth too painful to uncover? Dana spent the next day poring over everything she could remember from her old life. Every fragment was like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. But one word from the note stood out, where your memories stopped. It could only mean one place. The White House in the photograph. She hadn't been back there in decades. She hadn't even driven by it. But in the back of her mind, she knew the address. It was still there, waiting like a ghost. That night, Dana parked a block away and walked. The street was quiet, almost abandoned. The house stood at the end of the lane, shutters rotting, porch sagging. The fire had taken its toll, but the bones remained. As she approached, the wind shifted, carrying the scent of wet wood and ashes, even after all these years. The door creaked open with a push. Inside was hollow silence. Dust coated the floor. The wallpaper hung in strips. And in the center of the living room, beneath the blackened ceiling, a single candle burned on the floor, and next to it, a man, middle-aged, grey at the temples, eyes that carried the weight of someone who'd seen too much. He looked up. "Dana," he said softly, as if he'd been waiting his whole life. She froze. "Who are you?" He stood slowly, voice cracking. "I'm your brother." Dana blinked. "That's impossible." "No," he said. "What's impossible is how they made you forget me." The man stepped closer. "My name is Jonah. I'm your older brother. We grew up in this house together." Dana staggered backward. "I don't have a brother." "I would remember—" He cut her off. "Not if someone didn't want you to." Jonah handed her a photo. In it, two teenagers smiled in front of the house, her and Jonah unmistakably close. "There was a custody battle after the fire," he said quietly. "You were in shock, comatose for a week. When you woke up, they said it was best not to remind you, said the memories were too painful. They changed your name, moved you. They told me to let go." Dana felt the walls close in. "Who is they?" Jonah's eyes darkened. "Mom and Dad." Her hands trembled as the truth landed like thunder. Her own parents, Oliver's grandparents, had chosen to erase her past. In the name of protection, of healing, they hadn't told her that Jonah had fought for her, that he had been left behind. "They buried everything," Jonah said, voice hollow, "including me." Tears slipped down Dana's face. A lifetime had passed. A whole world forgotten. But now, it was coming back. She remembered the way Jonah used to shield her during storms, the shared bike, the swing on the tree out front. Her brother, and the fire, that horrible night, smoke, cries, Michael yelling her name, her reaching for the crib. Then, nothing. Jonah reached out and took her hand. "I tried for years to find you, but they blocked me, and then a few months ago, I saw Ava at the cemetery. I knew she was yours." Dana couldn't speak. Grief and guilt and love swirled inside her like a storm. Her whole life had been built on a lie meant to protect her from breaking. But in doing so, they'd broken something far deeper. Dana stood in her old childhood home, ash-covered floors beneath her, memories crackling behind her eyes like the embers that once destroyed her world. Jonah's voice was soft but steady as he led her down the hallway. "They never let me say goodbye to you. After the fire, when Michael and the baby died, you shut down. You were barely breathing. You didn't speak for weeks." Dana's eyes filled with tears. I don't remember any of that. You weren't supposed to, he said. They paid for therapists, lawyers. They said it was better for you to start fresh. They entered what used to be her bedroom, walls now bare, a collapsed bed frame rusted in one corner. But I wrote to you, Jonah said, pulling a small tin box from behind a broken panel in the wall. I hid these. Every year I came back to leave another letter, hoping maybe one day. He handed her the box. Inside were over a dozen folded letters, some stained with age, others smudged with fingerprints. Dana's hand shook as she opened the first. Happy 18th birthday, sis. I hope you're still out there. I hope they didn't break you. She opened another. Mum and Dad moved to Florida. They told everyone you were never the same. But I never stopped believing you were still in there. Another. Ava looks just like you, Dana. She visits them every week. She's brought you back to me. The room blurred through tears. Dana sank to the floor. I missed so many years, she whispered. Jonah crouched beside her. They were stolen from you. But you've got today. You've got Ava. You've got me. Dana looked at him through watery eyes. You never stopped writing. I never stopped hoping. Later that night, she sat Ava down in the kitchen. There was a silence between them. Not heavy, just full. I remember now, Dana said. Ava nodded, already knowing. I had a brother, a husband, a son. Ava reached across the table and held her mother's hand. And now you have me, and Jonah. Dana smiled softly. Thank you for going to that grave, for keeping them alive in your heart when mine couldn't. If your child became the one to reconnect you with your own buried past, would you feel guilt or gratitude, or both? The next Sunday, Dana did something she never imagined she'd have the strength to do. She stood in front of 3 gravestones with Jonah on one side and Ava on the other. She spoke to each of them, Michael, Lila, and baby Oliver. She told them the truth, that she remembered now, that she would never forget again, that their names would live on. And when she left a 4th flower at the base of the tree, a promise for the years lost and for those still to come. Back home, Dana boxed up the old photo, the court papers, the letters, all of it, and handed it to Ava. Someday this will be yours, she said. Ava smiled. I'll take care of it, just like I did before. As the sun set that evening, the house felt lighter, warmer, as if the ghosts had finally been seen and could now rest. Some stories, Dana realized, don't end with answers. They end with healing, and with names finally spoken out loud, names once buried with time, now reborn in memory. If this story touched something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Follow and share it with someone who believes in second chances, lost memories, and the power of truth. Because some stories deserve to be remembered forever.